July the 9th, 2016. Guys, there are a couple of things we need to talk about this morning, every day, of course, but today we're seeing the puppet masters playing with both hands. They are pulling strings. They are setting up scenarios left and right to bring about this division, chaos, and eventually martial law. And I think they want to stop the elections. They're afraid that no matter how much they lie about the polls, that the overwhelming groundswell of voting will be a tsunami that they can't suppress. You understand what I'm saying? Even with the mainstream media being bought off. We see that in the polls. We've done polls. The last poll we did, guys, Hillary had still, after about 4 or 5 days, doesn't have a single thumbs up. Think about that. So we know we're being lied to about that. But guys, with this, the police shootings that started earlier in the week, again, we had the killings night before last of the police officers in Dallas. And remember, guys, early in the morning yesterday, they were saying the same, I guess he's the black police chief there in Dallas, not sure. He was saying yesterday morning, very early, that there were multiple shooters. They had been triangulating, was his words. Triangulating from up the upper buildings down onto his officers. And you heard the scanner where they were saying there were rifles in the upper floors, 2 rifles hanging out of a window. Now, then the guy, well, let me finish. Then he said that the shooter killed himself. One shooter. They had 3 other people in custody. But the shooter killed himself at first, then the same police officer came back on TV an hour or so later and said that they killed him with a robotic bomb. Which, whatever, just, I don't know why the story changed there. Then last night, I guess the governor and the mayor got together and decided there was just one shooter. Although they had been held down by triangulated sniper fire. It just doesn't add up. It's not adding up, and what we're seeing now, something very disturbing to me, is that some of the social media outlets, Facebook, Twitter, they're allowing tremendous amount of hate speech on this subject. But if you were to say anything about immigration, other religions as Muslims, or anything like that, guys, the border, the wall, it's taken down, gone, strike. But now they're allowing it freely. They're pushing it. And I don't know what some of these owners of these companies are thinking, except that we now know who some of the puppet masters are. But that's what we're seeing. And guys, they are afraid of these conventions. This is a planned division in this country. I want to read a couple things here. Just bear with me. But back on Thursday, the New Orleans office of the FBI had issued what's called a Gold Code, warning Louisiana law enforcement that law enforcement and other first responders, in addition to the general public, and that's why I'm doing this, if it was just the law enforcement officers, that would be between them. But in addition to the general public, are in danger because of the protest and purges. Guys, purges linked to the July 5th police shooting of Alton Sterling. Now, this was Thursday, before the purging of the police, I guess is what they're calling it in Dallas. According to the FBI memo, the purpose of the Situational Information Report, called a SIR, is to alert first responders of threats to law enforcement and violence to law enforcement officers and riots planned from July 8th through the 10th. Now, one of the things I want to do, I'm doing this video this morning, is because one of the dates of the purge starts today at 12 noon. That concerns me. We need to talk about this. One thing I want to say this, how do we know that earlier in the week when we saw the police killing the two black guys, how do we know that wasn't a setup? I'm not saying no one didn't get killed, and I'm not saying it was evil, and it's not wrong. It's wrong. But I'm saying, was it set up? In other words, did some money exchange hands or whatever to unleash these people to start this? And guys, do you realize it would have taken a little longer than the few hours they had to set up snipers in Dallas for a peaceful protest? And don't forget, if it was Black Lives Matters or it was a true Black Lives movement, and as far as the shooting goes of the police officers, why did they shoot the black lady that was there with her 3 sons? She was used as bait. It took 5 minutes for the police to get in there because of so much sniper fire to get this lady out. She laid on top of one of her sons, protecting him. Now, nothing is adding up there. In other words, the puppet strings are being pulled very quick. Do not be a puppet. If any of us on either side create a knee-jerk reaction to this, then hundreds of thousands of lives could be lost on both sides. Population control. Bring in martial law. Is that how you want to live? Because that's where this will lead. So we need to be aware of everything. But the memo details protest plan for Shreveport and Baton Rouge and includes a graphic illustration of a Black Lives Matter activist in the process of beheading a white police officer who is on his knees, similar to the pose of the victims of the Islamic State beheadings. And I saw it. It looks exactly like that. And they're allowing I think it's Twitter or Facebook, are still allowing this to be up there. Man. But in the SIR, the FBI quotes social media postings such as Baton Rouge Purge starts July the 9th at 12 a.m., ends 5 a.m. July 10th. And Rule 1 is, I'm not even going to say it, guys. But then they say copy and paste so no one in your family gets purged. Guys, are you listening to this? But the Judicial Watch, the Washington-based government watchdog, received a copy of this SIR, and according to the website, both the FBI and Louisiana State Police are refusing to comment or acknowledge the alert memo. Again, if it was just between them, then that's their business. But they said a danger to the public, and then that becomes everyone's business. There's also, according to this FBI report, that the Louisiana Fusion Center confirmed additional protests are planned in multiple locations throughout Louisiana, but cannot confirm additional threats of violence at this time. So, again, just part of this report. Now, in Phoenix, just one of the cities that we talked about in the video last night, at 2:37 this morning, they were still trying to clear the streets, pepper spray, bean bags being shot at the protesters, things like that. All the way up 7th Street, Garfield Road. It was intense. It almost got out of hand, and it did, in where they had to chase down a couple of protesters, handcuff them. I guess they got arrested. But it was violence in the streets, and so many people are following the voice of just a few and creating this chaos. But once the chaos is created for the people that are doing this, you don't think you're going to be in the same situation as everyone else? Whether it's a FEMA camp, curfew, lockdown, military state, do you think they care about you? You're just a pawn. In this chess game, you're just a puppet on the end of the string. But some of the people that are higher up on the string level are being paid to do it. And then they're watching the gullible and the easily influenced create chaos, order out of chaos. That's what they want.